He may have been the darling of the cameras here in India. But Rishi Sunak got asked some tough questions by members of parliament in the United Kingdom.
Where is Britain? Where is the plan?
So will the government now finally officially call for him to be released?
Can the Prime Minister in his response then tell us?
They wanted to know whether the G20 summit declaration, according to them, was actually a weak document. They wanted to know if Rishi Sunak really pushed and tried to make the wording stronger. They also wanted to know whether Rishi Sunak had discussed with Prime Minister Modi on his views on Russia and why India wasn't doing more, particularly when it came to sanctions against Russia. They also wanted to know why the UK has got left out of that big announcement that took place during the G20 summit. And we're talking about the economic corridor, which many say is really in response to China's BRI. Keir Starmer actually called the joint declaration a disappointing document. Listen in to what he has to say.
G20 summit in India was a real opportunity to see progress on key global issues by condemning Russia's illegal war in Ukraine in no uncertain terms and making solid commitments to boost growth and renewable energy capacity around the world. So I'm afraid the joint declaration from the weekend is disappointing. As Russian drones resumed attacks on Kyiv, it is disheartening to see language weaker than the G20's condemnation of Moscow at last year's summit in Bali.
So does Rishi Sunak agree with the views of Justin Trudeau, who's had a rather forgettable trip here in India? Justin Trudeau had said that if it were up to him, the wording of the joint declaration would have been far stronger. Now, in his response, Rishi Sunak said that G20 is a group of nations and obviously everyone cannot be on the same page and there will be some give and take. Do you think he managed to convince the members of parliament? Take a look and make up your mind for yourself.
There are 44 non-aligned states who are not supporting us with sanctions against Russia, which is delaying the war in Ukraine. One of them is India. India takes Russian oil, and some now say it refines it and sells products back into Europe, circumventing those sanctions. Did the Prime Minister have those conversations with Prime Minister Modi?
Obviously, each country is going to approach that in its own way. Our job is to continue raising the impact of Russia's illegal war and working with allies to bring that war to an end.
Does the Prime Minister agree with Canada's Liberal Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, who said yesterday that if it were up to him, the language on the war would have been stronger?
This is not the G7, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, it's not the G1. It's not just for us to take the language that we ourselves would like. Our position on Ukraine is crystal clear for all to see. But the G20 is a collection of a large group of countries which do not all share the same perspective on global affairs or indeed the same values. And to assume that it can reflect the unanimity that we have in the G7 is simply to just misunderstand how foreign affairs actually works.
Two more contentious issues that came up in the House of Commons was one regarding the release of a Scottish national. Did Rishi Sunak discuss that with Prime Minister Modi? Now we're talking about Scottish national Sikh Jagtar Singh Johal.
I know that my right honourable friend raised the case of Jagtar Singh Johal with the Indian Prime Minister at the weekend, but we are not clear on what the outcomes of those discussions were. So will the government now finally officially call for him to be released because the UN has accepted that he's arbitrarily detained?
The other issue that they wanted an answer to was whether he had brought up with India the issue of India buying oil from Russia.
We do make and have made substantial progress, but as I said, there is hard work left to do.
From breaking news, detailed analysis, in-depth interviews and explainers, follow the Times of India. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like our videos and hit the bell icon to stay updated with the latest.